obviously get to know three of the teams in the semis, and I want to come up and obviously do an upload in there. I've decided to obviously come live for this, and then later I will obviously let you guys go to sleep. So smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rokani David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are, and continue to subscribe so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, as it stands, the FA Cup has been played and Man City has gone, is it extra? They've gone to beat it by 10 goals. You understand? It's 10 goals in there for you. So, I tell you, it is really one of those matches that Arsenal is really going to play, and you're anticipating that they'll obviously have to have what we call a very huge go at this club with huge positivity and lots of things that can obviously frame out to really be what they are supposed to be as a side of City. But all I want to let you know is that it's really very important to note that City has gone for 10 goals, and Portsmouth is a team that can also get embarrassed. The difference is that City has hosted this team at home, and this team is playing in a professional association based in Portsmouth, all right, playing in the EFL Championship. Yeah, so teams in the EFL Championship are really hard. You can obviously come and really lose out onto these teams because they've gone ahead to shock teams way before in this particular encounter. So Arsenal has to get serious and obviously put out a lineup that can help them really do the needful. Now, let's get to what we call the head-to-head, right? Portsmouth and Arsenal. So Portsmouth is playing the EFL Championship and Arsenal is topping the Premier League. That is it. Now, the last game that Portsmouth went ahead to obviously play, they lost to Bristol City by 5-0. That's why I told you that Arsenal can obviously go ahead and obviously beat them badly. And Arsenal has gone ahead to draw, I think, 1-1 with Liverpool in there. That's the game they last played in there. Then when we go to the previous meetings, they've played 67 times, or they've met each other 67 times. And Portsmouth has won 14, Arsenal has won 30, and drawn 23 games. Now, in the previous games, when Arsenal played against Portsmouth in March 2020, that was the 2nd of March 2022, Portsmouth at the Fratton Stadium, Arsenal beat them by 2-0. In the Premier League 2009, it's been long since they last played in the Premier League, Arsenal beat them 4-1 at the same stadium. And in the same season of 2009, Arsenal beat them by 4-1 at the side called the Emirates. So that's how Arsenal has obviously gone ahead to be treating this team. They've gone ahead to beat it every time. They've gone ahead to find it. And all I can tell you is that the history is on the side of Arsenal as they head into this powerful fixture that is a little bit tricky. Now, let's head to the team news. They've told us that Mosinho has confirmed that's the manager. Midfielder Mark Kozenski will be out for around 9 to 12 months after tearing his ACL and MCL. Defender Hayden Matthews suffered an ankle injury at Bristol City, a game they lost 5-0, which is expected to keep him out of action for at least 2 months. Portsmouth also remain without their star attacker, Josh Murphy, as well as Callum Lang, Josh Knight, Connor Oglive, Thomas Widingham, and Florian Bianchi. They really have lots of players out. Now, this should be an outing for Arsenal that should obviously see them do what we call a goal galore. It should rain goals, at the stadium where they're obviously going to be facing this side. Then we go in more positive news. Captain Malok Park and first case goalkeeper Cobley Bishop could be in contention following their respective injury issues, meaning that those are really back. So that is Portsmouth for you. Now, let's head to the club of Arsenal and really see what Arsenal really do have into their sick bay and which players we expect to come up. Now, as for the Gunners, the defensive duo of Ricardo Carafiori and Christian Mosquera are making progress in their respective injury recoveries, though the pair will not be ready for Sunday's away trip. Obviously, for Mosquera, they told us that he's returning in mid-January. And if today is 10th, that means by the time Arsenal play against Chelsea, Mosquera might be back. You understand? So, young attacker Max Dorman remains sidelined with an ankle issue, while defender Piero Hincapi is a doubt after being forced off in the second half game against Liverpool. And I think there is no reason to force Hincapi into this game of football if at all he's really having issues. What Arsenal has to do is go ahead and really put in a very huge shift and rest him, But Kai Havertz has recovered. I've gone to see him into the training session for the club of Arsenal ahead of this game, and obviously other players that never took part into the game of Liverpool or really never got enough playing time in the game of Liverpool obviously come up and represent to the fullest and see to it that they obviously give their team a very, very huge goal. Agail, thank you for watching it through, and Mubarak, thank you for watching it through, and see to it that all really goes on well as planned. Now, let's get into the probable starting 11 for the club of Arsenal as they head into this FA Cup in there. So the system that we anticipate is going to be 4-3-3 for the club of Arsenal. There is no doubt about that. You all believe that it's going to be a 4-3-3. Now, in goal, huge change. Kepa Arrizabalaga, obviously, for the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, Kepa Arrizabalaga is really going to be taking charge of these ones. And no one will obviously bench him, I tell you this. He'll put out a very huge shift, I tell you. And no one will obviously stop him to be into these stitches. And the players of Arsenal should obviously do it for him, because I think he made a very big sacrifice as a player. At his level, as a player, he has done a lot. And he is at the same level like David Raya. That is it, provided he's being given playing time. And that's why Arsenal got him for £5 million and decided to come in through at Arsenal. And why did he decide to come in through at Arsenal? I think he decided to make such obviously make such a claim, such a move, because he believed that the side of Arsenal is obviously going to be winning very, very many trophies in there. Not so? So I think that's why they went ahead to make such a decision. So they are into the semis of the Carabao Cup, and I think on Wednesday they're obviously going to be coming up to obviously play into that semi-finals away at Chelsea. That is it. Then he will all come out to put out a very, very huge shift in there for you. So I really understand that players will play for him, because I need to see him really celebrate winning trophies with the club of Arsenal, because he made a very huge sacrifice, obviously coming through, and I think he deserves it. Now, David Raya means will be rested. Let's go to the right back. Ben White is back, and that means it's going to be an outing for Benjamin White. Not so? It's going to be an outing for Benjamin White as a right back for the club of Arsenal to put out a very huge show and see to it that all really goes on well as planned by the manager. And Julian Timber needs to rest. I tell you, he needs to rest, as when Ben White is here, that's the time he needs to rest, because we haven't obviously gone ahead to see Ben White being here consistently. He plays 3, 4, 5 games available, then he's off. And we've gone ahead to see that for Ben White, it's very hard for him to obviously start and play every game. When you give him consecutive games, he obviously turns out to really injure himself. So I think he comes into this game against Portsmouth, and it really suits him best. Not so? Left back, I think it's Lewis Skelly, no doubt about it, no question. With Hincapi doubtful, and I see no reason for forcing him into such a game of football. You understand? You also have Ricardo Carafiori injured. That means you're left with only one player who goes by the names of Lewis Skelly. So he comes in through to play as the left back in there. We get to the left-sided centre-back. I obviously go with Gabriel Magalhaes, having gone ahead to return, and I think has just gone ahead to play. Is it 2 games? You know that's going ahead to start. Started against Villa, right? Started against Bournemouth. Right? And then he also started 3 games he has started. You get? He came in through the game of Brighton, I think, as a substitute. And for these games has been really representing to the fullest. And that shows you that the lad is really ready to obviously come in through and really start. For Saliba, he has played more games this season than Gabriel Magalhaes. So I think let him really rest, on the bench. And all what we have to see is Gabriel Magalhaes going ahead to play in there. So resting Saliba, one will ask who should be played as the right-sided centre-back. If at all you're resting Saliba, we are not having a Mosquera, and you've hinted onto resting a player known as Julian Timber. Not so? So, if that's the case, what should be done? I think we saw him play as a right-sided centre-back when they're playing against Club Brugge. So, why not obviously go in and really play him as a right-sided centre-back into this kind of game? So that is the back 5, and the back 5, that is how we expect Arsenal to really stand. We go to the midfield, having gone ahead to obviously see Norgard start in there. Who starts as the CDM? I think there is a player that is really multifunctional, and we are talking about we are talking about Mikel Merino. He can play as a 6 in this particular game. So I think you play him as a 6 in this fixture to obviously see to it that you rest Martin Zubimendi and maintain his workload. The same applies to Declan Rice. He's obviously going to be having the next busy. He's going to be busy in the coming days. So all what you have to do is simple. Do the needful and really put in a very huge shift. And that shift should be all about... resting Declan Rice, resting Odegaard, resting Zubimendi, because you're playing a championship team and you have them on the bench. If anything doesn't go in Arsenal's favor, then you have those buttons to press to really make things right. Then we go to the box-to-box midfielder as a number 8. I bring in Ebelechi Eze to play as a box-to-box midfielder into this particular fixture because he is really a player who is good at that also, though the manager has only, I think, tried him once in that position. And I think in that game where he was played as an 8 and Odegaard as a 10, Odegaard went ahead to get injured and that experiment never went ahead to work out. But I think if at all the manager had really gone ahead to really give them more time in that position, maybe he would at a certain point say, I want to obviously go out with his players to obviously put in that shift in there. So all I want to see is him being played in that position. The number 10, I think Odegaard also deserves to be rested. That is it. Martin Odegaard deserves to be rested. And if I told Martin Odegaard is rested, you get... if Odegaard is rested, then that means Ethan Nwaneri comes in through to play as a number 10. And it's this game where you have to obviously deploy Ethan Nwaneri because you cannot really play him against a team known as Chelsea in the midweek. So the best thing to do is play him as a number 10 in this game. Odegaard in epic form, rest him. Just do the needful and really rest him. So that is my mid 3. Now, my front 3 is as follows. Right forward, rest Bukayo Saka for none other than Noni Madueke. That is it. You get? Rest Bukayo Saka for none other than Noni Madueke. Right? Then, left forward, I think he needs to pick up his form. You get? He needs to obviously pick out his form. He started in the game of, there is a game where he started and we looked bad. And in the previous game they played against Liverpool, he came off the bench. So I think having gone ahead to come off the bench, he really deserves a chance to come in through and feature predominantly into this game. I'm talking about Gabriel Martinelli. These are the kind of games where he can obviously come in through and really kill off teams like Bournemouth in there for you. So that is all about Gabriel Martinelli. And leading the line, obviously Gyökeres cannot start in this game of football. I've gone ahead to see one in the live chat say start Gyökeres. No way. Would like to see a midfield of Nogard and Waneri. That is Gael. I think I've gone ahead to put the lad into the central defense, but start Victor Gyökeres. He really needs goals, but he has been playing very many minutes, and he's going to be starting on Wednesday when Arsenal is playing against Chelsea. So it will be selfish for Arsenal to start Gyökeres. Obviously, you have to start a player known as Gabriel Jesus, and if I'm the manager, I don't even play Gyökeres. Kai Havertz will come on to obviously play as a player who has been out for some time. This game is really a perfect game for him to come out and really try out himself. So that is the probable starting 11 from the Rokani Media Football as far as this game of football is concerned. Now, when you look at that starting 11 probable, that means Arsenal would have gone ahead to rest the following players: Raya, Timber, Saliba, Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, Saka, Gyökeres, and Leandro Trossard. Arsenal would have gone ahead to rest 9 players, and that will come in through at a very, 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 very good time. Because when you look at the next fixtures of Arsenal, these players need to obviously rest for tomorrow. Let me read you these fixtures, and you'll understand what I'm really talking about. Arsenal, after playing Portsmouth tomorrow, Arsenal have to play Chelsea, semi-finals of what we call the EFL Cup. Then on Saturday they'll play away at Nottingham. Then 20th January, Arsenal will come in through and put out a very huge shift to see to it that they really get into the mood and see to it that Inter Milan hosts them. Those are 4 away games you get. So if you're playing 4 away games, if you get a game like this of Portsmouth to rest most of your players, I think it's really very logical to do that. You understand? Then from there, we obviously head to Arsenal will host Man United. That is on 25th of January. And I think then they have Crite and Leeds. I think those 2 games will be easy for Arsenal before they host Chelsea for the second semi-final leg in there for you. So I tell you this, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. You understand? If there are 5 games, if there are 5 games, I tell you, it will really make a lot of sense, you know. It will really make a lot of sense to see to it that they rest players in this game of Portsmouth. Then for Chelsea, field the same 11, you get. Nottingham, do the same, you get. And you can even rest a little bit, you know. Inter Milan, I think here you can even rest a little bit because I think Arsenal is already through to the next round, you understand. The game of Man United at Emirates, field your best team. Kairat, rest players close to 10. Leeds, bring them back. Chelsea, bring them back. Sunderland, bring them back. And you see the marathon, because every game that Arsenal is playing right now, it looks like it's going to be a final. I've gone ahead to see a team of Liverpool participate in four tournaments, and they won the Carabao Cup. They never, I think they only won the Carabao Cup, you know. They never won the Champions League. And I think they played in the Champions League final. I think they were beaten by Real Madrid. City went ahead to win the Premier League from them. But do you know why Liverpool was like that? I don't think they really had a squad like the one that Arsenal is really having. Arsenal has a very beautiful squad that at this juncture they are talking about Mark Gehi, a story that is obviously gonna be onto this channel early morning. Arsenal is interested in Mark Gehi, and it's serious, guys. Very, very serious, meaning that they are looking at cheaper players, though of quality, that are really available in the January transfer window to obviously bring them on. You get? So, Arsenal is having a very good squad that can obviously compete in 4 tournaments. And most of them are really back. If you're talking about of those that are injured, it's Mosquera, it's Max Dowman, it's Ricardo Carafiori, and Hincapi. And out of those, no one has a serious injury that's going to keep him out for a very long period of time. For Mosquera, 4 or 5 days from now, he's expected to be back, and I think his 2 months will be off because I think he got injured in November, mid-November. And don't be shocked if at all he travels with the Arsenal squad when they're going to be playing against a team called Chelsea in the midweek. Don't be shocked. You get? So, that is my probable starting 11 for the club of Arsenal. Ricardo Carafiori, he's also really close. He's also really close. And let's get into the probable starting 11 for a team called Portsmouth. Skamid in goal, Devlin, Saugenski, Poli, and Souson, back four. Dozel, Park, and Segesic. That is the midfield three. Chaplin, Blair, and Bishop will play or lead the line for the side of Portsmouth. So that is how things are really panning out for that side. And from there, where we head. We head on to what we call the match facts. You get? Match facts. Portsmouth are winless in their last 22 games against Arsenal in all competitions. 8 draws and 14 losses, hence a 5-4 win in March 1958. Only against Chelsea 31 between 1962 and 2012 have they ever had a longer winless run. So Arsenal has really a very huge go at teams like Portsmouth, meaning that they really have an edge over them. Secondly, Arsenal have progressed from all 4 of their FA Cup ties against Portsmouth in the season of 1931, 1932, the season of 1970 to 1971, 2003 to 2004, and 2019 to 2020. They've only faced Brighton and Leyton Orient in more ties with a 100% success rate. 5 out of 5. That is Arsenal for you. Thirdly, Portsmouth have lost their last 3 FA third round ties and their last 5 FA ties against Premier League opposition since beating Tottenham Hotspur in a 2009-2010 semi-final. So I think they even went ahead to lift that. I think they've gone ahead to do the needful. Fourthly, Arsenal have been eliminated from the FA third round in each of the last 2 seasons, albeit against Premier League opposition in Liverpool and Man United. They haven't gone out at this stage in more consecutive campaigns since a run of 4 between 1938 season, 239 and 1947 to 1948 season. So that is Arsenal for you in there. And the other is Arsenal have been eliminated from the FA third round in each of the last 2 seasons, albeit against Premier League opposition in Man United. They haven't gone at this stage in more consecutive campaigns in there. We are really having, since winning the FA Cup, in Mikel Arteta's first season in charge, 2019-2020, Arsenal have gone out of the competition in either the third round or fourth round in the last 5 campaigns. So they won it in Mikel Arteta's first season, you all know that. But it's really one of those tournaments that Arteta should really value hugely this time round, and I think the squad he has now gives him the luxury to go ahead and obviously compete in multiple tournaments, and it will really yield fruits for the club of Arsenal. And this season, Arteta is not going to obviously go in for the lower fruits. Like being selective on the lower fruits and the upper fruits. He's going in for the upper fruits only. That is Mikel Arteta for you. So, we wait and see how things pan out. But my prediction comes in through now. Arsenal 4, Portsmouth 0. That's my prediction. Arsenal is going to go hard at this. And don't be shocked to see a Gabriel Jesus hat-trick, a Noni Madueke brace. You get? I think it's really going to be a showcase. And Ethan Nwaneri having gone ahead to refuse to go to Bournemouth after them seeing him as a replacement for a player known as what's his name? Anthony Semenyo. This is the time and stage for him to obviously come up and really put in the card shift altogether. Now I head into the comment section. Would like to see a midfield of Nogard, Eze, and Waneri. It can happen, but for me, I see a midfield of that because I think the manager will have to rest a player known as Saliba. All else, Nogard will play in the central midfield, and the manager will obviously have to drop in Timber. But I would love to see Timber being rested because he's really very important in the system of Arsenal. And the nearest trophy to get is the Carabao Cup. On Wednesday, they are playing against Chelsea. Mubarak says, for me, I want Sin Waneri also start the game. Like this one, he's going to start. There is no excuse that the manager will give Ethan Waneri if he doesn't start him. He has to start him in this game. And nothing will obviously stop him from really starting. I'll see Waneri in that midfield. That is it. Anthony Nyakeiru, Arsenal won't stop Chelsea in the FA Cup. Arsenal is playing Chelsea in what we call the Carabao Cup, known the FA Cup. Get me and quote me right. You understand? Arsenal is playing a team known as Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. So, I have no authority about it, but I believe Arsenal will obviously ask very many questions, and they are playing home and away basis. So Arsenal has a chance that they are first playing away at the Stamford Bridge, and then Chelsea will come at Emirates, and then we'll wait to see who is who after all those games are going to be played. Then we head to who else is into the live chat? I'm having Sifa Bako Rokani. Any progress on Rafael Leao? Arsenal is really monitoring these players, and they've also gone ahead to add another known as Diomane, who has just gone ahead to be knocked out from the African Cup of Nations. You understand? So, having gone ahead to get knocked out, so he's really going to be a very huge talking topic because he has gone ahead to obviously have a very huge AFCON and is really doing well at the RB Leipzig. So we wait and see what will pan out from these games. Sorry for the transfers, but looks like Arsenal is so much linked onto a left attacking midfielder, and that's all about having their best being Trossard and Martinelli not being anywhere near the levels of a wide forward that Arsenal really need. When you look at all these players that Arsenal is looking at as the wide forwards on the left, they are all good at 1v1s and they act well in tight spaces. And I've always gone ahead to mention this. Arsenal need a player who can move bodies, who can skip past players. Because this season, Arsenal is really finding it hard to obviously open up defenses. Do you know why? They don't have, like in their wide forwards, it's only Trossard who can obviously try to really pull out a moment of magic, and even Noni Madueke can try. But for Saka, he obviously needs space to operate in such situations. You understand? And in the midfield, they are really okay because Rice is not all that a player who can play in the tight spaces and really skip past players, but Odegaard and Zubimhendi can get you that. You get, meaning that Arsenal needs one of their wide outlets to really get a player who can really get hold of that ball and really skip past players. For example, if you watch the game of football today, you've seen what Amadi Diallo has gone ahead to do. You get? So, you need a player like that. You need a player. That's why I think Max Dorman is really going to be very important in the season of Arsenal. Like not this season, but in the future, as a player like that, you obviously need him in the team who can really get hold of that ball like, I'm risking myself to skip past players. So, that's why they're looking at Rodrigo, and we all know that Rodrigo is 100% good at that. Rafael Leao the same, Diomane the same, And most of the wide forwards they're looking at are really good at that. So we are waiting to see how Arsenal will obviously do the needful. But Rafael Leao is still being monitored hugely by the club of Arsenal, and they're like, we're obviously going to be doing the needful with him. So, thank you very much for watching through, right? Rokani David is my name. That is my probable starting 11 for the side of Arsenal as they take on a team known as Portsmouth, EFL team. And I know they're obviously going to be winning that game by 4 goals to nil. We wait and see. I've gone ahead to come live and I've talked to you. So I'm going to be talking about the AFCON, and you remember my favorites. I talked about Morocco. I talked about Egypt. I talked about Nigeria. I talked about Algeria and Cameroon. Out of those five are out and I'm left with 3, but my favorite 2 are still in. Morocco, top favorite. Egypt, second favorite. I'm discussing that in some minutes from now. I'm going to be dropping that video. Continue to subscribe and congratulations to everyone. We've gone ahead to hit 28,000 subscribers. Now, let's get to the journey of 29,000 subscribers. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe. After subscribing, hit the notification bell. That will enable you to get notified every time I upload a video onto this beautiful channel.